Oh no.
I don't want to find out, and the visual is uncomfortable.
Well, yeah. Are you sure it's a pole dance like that? Just not North Pole because of where they live. They're just pole dancers
I
because they dance in the
I'm
pole.
Finbad. I'm thinking that it's the North Pole due to where they live.
Right.
I don't
That's what I'm on.
necessarily. Yeah, I think the chief is all the way in left field, and we need to get him.
Yeah, we need to pull them on back. Last
Pull
thing I
him.
want to see is an elf on a pole.
Yeah, that's not
Oh,
good. Well, that's not a good reality.
Well, moving on, Ambezi. So we were. Oh wait, I think we have. Sounds like we have a caller coming in. So let me see if we can get that person on here.
Caller.
What's going on?
Hey,
Hey there, how are you, caller?
hi, I'm calling from Atlanta.
All right,
Atlanta.
all right, Atlanta in the house.
The ATL by way of B More, my home. But just wanted to check in and add a little something to the conversation earlier.
Go
I
for
don't know
it.
if you need. Did you want my name or are you
Yes,
okay?
sir.
Yes.
We definitely want your name. Anything you want to provide.
Yeah. Well, if we can go with Sinbad, y'all can go with Beagley. That was my nickname growing up in Baltimore.
Beagley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask why.
On the issue of reality, on the issue of reality TV, do you think it's just a modern day version of the same complaint that every generation of parents have had, be it, rock and roll or any kind of sleazy music? Every generation of parents has believed that their children were being taken off track, et cetera. And that being the case, I think what has to happen to keep up with the technologies is parents just have to be just that much more engaged. Yeah. Whereas before, 40, 50 years ago, parents didn't have to worry about the kids picking up things on TV or these wild games that kids would be playing in the basement on their television, Nintendo systems, Xboxes, and the cussing and the killing and the shooting and all those things. Kids were outside playing when we were growing up.
That's right.
I'm 55. So parents didn't have that much of a threat. And there was one kitchen phone with a long cord. And
it is.
You pretty much had to go through mom and dad for everything.
That's right.
But so now the requirement to be an engaged parent is tenfold. It does. So just like Sinbad commented earlier, you can't really filter everything out of the reality that your child is faced with when they go to school, on the playground, and so forth. But it's on us as parents to talk to our kids about, what's really going on, because I truly am a believer that when you plant the seeds, they will grow. You got to continue to plant your seeds and fertilize your seeds as a parent. Mm-hmm. You can't shy away from that obligation. And truth be told, kids are learning a lot more, a lot faster, be it sex, be it, porn that they can catch through their friends' homes or even on their phone. You've just got to be involved. You can't shy away from that responsibility.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to throw that out there. We can shake our head like the old heads, one of your hosts is calling us, but really and truly, we have no choice but to step up our game. That's all there is to it. You cannot filter it out 100% any more than any generation of parents could before. So that's all.
Totally agree.
Appreciate you taking my call.
One question for you, caller. You still there?
Yes, sir.
So when you look at some of the more hardcore reality shows, how do you think that puts certain communities, how do you think that makes them look? And do you think that is something that the communities themselves need to have a conversation with the producers and whatnot when you look at the images that are portrayed?
You know, I think that's an interesting point, but it's just like that whole World Star Hip Hop thing that people can watch on their phones. You know, I cringed for years. I was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. But it's that whole I can't believe what I'm seeing effect that keeps me going back. And, you know, I haven't looked at that in a while, but it seems like the more outlandish, the more we tend to watch. It's part of the human element. It's part of what makes us, it's part of what brings advertisers to a channel or to a station. And it's also part of what brings eyes to the events. You know, you see a Burger King fight, and next thing you know, people are throwing everything, and it's a big old fight, and I'm in shock. I'm in disbelief. Like, where have I been? What happened to the world that I grew up in?
Sure.
But I don't know that since everything is driven by capitalism, which means you got to get the ratings, sensationalism is what we seem to thrive off of. I mean, look at our president, if you want to call him our president. I mean, everything he does is about sensationalism and how he can drive eyeballs to him. Even our news stations, the so-called better stations, feel as though they have no choice for ratings' sake but to keep up with their competition by putting the eye on a president who's making things worse in our culture. Mm-hmm. You know, it's almost like, I don't even know what the word is for it, but our systems are such that the more outlandish, the more we watch.
Sure.
And I don't know how you can curb that at all, unless you want to put Little House on the Prairie on every station and think that that's going to sell.
Well, it's a good point.
That is a great point. I totally agree with that, caller. We appreciate the information and thank you for calling.
Absolutely.
All right.
Good call.
I'm gonna try to get off this phone and tune back in. Thanks.
Good. Thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great evening.
I think that was a good point. I think also, like, the only vital difference between, you know, the whole rock music phenomenon and stuff like that is that, again, even though those things were influential on teenagers, there wasn't this interactive aspect of it. Mm-hmm. You know, you could listen to that rock music, possibly go to a rock concert, go to school and talk to your friends about the music and the things that you're hearing, but it wasn't like today where then you could log on to Twitter and you could then interact with those people, or you can see other people acting a certain way because of that music and start acting that way. And it's just a cultural, there's just this new place in our society where there's seemingly no boundaries, I guess.
That's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, I think too, though, like you said, Amber and BZ, I truly believe that impartation happens consciously and unconsciously, you know, directly and indirectly. And so if you look at something, observe something, or spend time with something for a long period of time, something or someone, it's going to influence your behaviors. It's going to influence how you think and different things of that nature. And so I think that impartation happens to some degree when you engage yourself in anything. And culture, to me, is very powerful. It is the way one lives, and that is framed by what's popular sometimes. And what's popular does not all the time agree with the principles of the households that the children are brought up in, you know. And so when I think about reality TV, I believe that as time progresses, it's going to increase. It's going to become more ratchet. It's going to be more vulgar, more explicit. It's going to continue.
Wow,
because
you think it'll be more ratchet?
I believe that. You know, the more you push the envelope, the more your ratings will go up. I mean, if you look at how commercials are presenting women today and different things like that. And I mean, I was watching TV on regular channels and they were using profanity. And I don't remember as a young person that I could watch regular TV and I would hear profanity.
Yeah.
And so the envelope is being pushed. And I think that the more we accept it, the more ratchet it will become. That's my observation.
I don't know though, because honestly, I think two things can happen. I definitely think that it can escalate, but I think that I'm not sure if reality TV will fizzle out, because I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing, but everything comes to an end eventually. Like even the rock music thing. Of course, people still listen to rock music, but that big era where it was like the rebellious thing and kids were listening to it and it was just like a cultural phenomenon fizzled out. Same thing that happened with rap music when people started listening to rap music, NWA era. You know, people were like, oh my God, all this rap music is saying F the police and it's causing teenagers to be disruptive and blah, blah, blah. Eventually that fizzled out into this mumble rap and this pop rap.
But I think, Amber and BZ, I want you to consider this. Is it fizzling out or is it being represented?
It's definitely being represented.
Right.
And I think that's what I mean by fizzle out. Like, I think you could possibly see the end of it being presented in this way, but who knows what the next thing can be, you know?
And that's true.
But although there are cons to reality TV, I'm not going to say there's pros, but there are other aspects of it that could be beneficial. Like you have like the TLC shows that shows couples going through their journeys of being a family or like having families and stuff like that. Or you have like these cooking shows. You have the American Idol shows that give people the chance to find fame or find the recognition that they want for their talents and all that stuff. I mean, even though that stuff too is altered and not what you guys think it is. I mean, first of all, don't even get me started on the recording contracts from the singing shows. But anyways, I mean, and also, the one thing that I liked about reality shows like Love and Hip Hop before they got too crazy was that they were finally showing women in a professional setting. Like they showed women that could actually like make money, just like when they had like Married to Medicine or the women who are lawyers. And then I just think that when they add the fighting and stuff, it just tarnishes the main point of having the show in the first place. But there are shows out there like Police Women of Broward County and, you know, those kind of shows, or like True Life on MTV that document like teenagers going through different things in their lives and the resources that they can use to cope with it and stuff that can be beneficial. But it's definitely, nowadays you're definitely seeing more of the negative effects than the possible positive effects.
Gina said that what we as a society need to do is to counterbalance the reality of TV influence.
Definitely.
She said
that's
that
it.
The counterbalance has to be stronger than reality TV. She said religion used to be so much more influential in our lives than it is today. The golden rule used to be taught to everyone, not so much anymore. And that's from Gina.
That's true.
That's
via our chat.
I totally agree with that. But here's my question on that too, just being the devil's advocate. In today's society too, we have a lot of latchkey children where they have to come home and let themselves in. They have to fix themselves a little snack before mom and dad gets home, and then they're entertained by the television, you know. So it's it's a challenge. However, I believe the words of the individual that left the comments, I believe the aggression of the parent